Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Freer, and I'm the Business Librarian here at RIT. It's my job to help students, staff, and faculty navigate the various business resources available to you. I can also offer suggestions on which resources are right for seeking different types of information or for a particular type of project. And I can provide you with training on different databases, and I can also suggest search strategies. I can also offer advice or caution when a particular piece of information may not exist, or when that piece of information might exist, but you won't have access through the RIT library. One way to think of how a librarian helps is they offer expert guidance as you seek information. They can ultimately save you time. So let's get started. To get started, we have some goals and outcomes we hope to achieve. We want to be able to navigate to Westlaw campus research and understand how to search. We want to be able to understand that McKinney's is a good resource for interpretation. We want to be able to find a New York State statute applicable to the situation in our case, and we want to find one or more cases, especially one from New York State Supreme Court Appellate Division, also known as 4th Department or AD4. So how do you get to Westlaw? You have two main ways to do this. You can start at the library homepage, library.rit.edu. When you get on the homepage, you're going to see a box in the center that says Summon, Databases, Journals, etc. Click on the Databases tab, and in that search box, type in Westlaw. This will take you directly to a link that will let you access Westlaw campus research. You can't go to Westlaw directly because Westlaw will not know that you are a subscriber. You must go through the library. So what is the other route? Let's head back to the library homepage. I have created a guide or an info guide for this course. Head over to Research Help, move to InfoGuides. Under Business, you will see BLEG 200. Click on Business Law, and there's that same link to enter Westlaw Campus Research. Before we dive in to showing how to navigate and search Westlaw, we need a case to work with. Your client was drinking at a local bar. When he left the bar, he drove his car across the bar's parking lot to a corner where there was no light from the street lamps, so he could sleep in his car until he sobered up to drive home. A police officer approached the car as he parked and did a sobriety test and charged your client with driving while intoxicated. Your client believes he is innocent, and driving in a parking lot while drunk is not a crime. According to the statutes of New York State and common law, meaning case law, should the charges stand or be dismissed, and why? So, we've been presented with what happened out in the world to our client, and it's now our job to digest this information and to pull out keywords or ideas that might help us identify in his particular situation should he have been charged with a crime. So as we work through this paragraph, and as you work through the paragraph of the situation that you're given, you're going to identify words and ideas. And in this case, I pulled out a couple words that I think will be important. It will turn out that they won't all show up, but certainly drinking, the idea that there's a parking lot, he drove his car, he was drunk, and then I am going to try to find some statutes or some case law that will help me understand, as the law reads right now in New York State, did our client commit a crime? Alright, we're ready to go and start navigating and searching in Westlaw. And even though you might want to just dive in and start to enter into the search field some of the terms from the case that you need to research, it's not the right thing to do. This database, though you might think it's a little bit like, say, Netflix, it operates a little differently. When you go to search in Netflix or Disney Plus or any movie service, you have two options. You can search for a specific name of a movie or an actor, or you can browse. So you could browse by new releases, by genre. I want to watch a Western, I want to watch a horror film. And you will start to see a return and some entries that the system thinks are good for you. Now, the challenge that you have with Westlaw or any other law database is that you have a ton of materials in here. And where a system like Netflix is based upon the people that participated in the movie and the genres of the movie and maybe the release dates, Westlaw is dependent upon laws coming from cases across the country, state regulations from all of the states in the United States. So you have a lot of material coming in here. And if we were to start in the search box without setting what geographical area we want to search specifically, or what level of court we want to search, we are going to get too many materials and a lot of materials that aren't relevant to our specific need. So we first have to think geographically. We are interested in cases that are in New York State or related to New York State law, and statutes that are related to New York State law. So we have to see how to search first by state. So let's start in New York State. And as we click on New York, the search bar changes so that we're only searching this subset of New York cases, statutes, regulations. And as I said prior, there's a ton of material in here. So how do you know how to narrow down? Well, what we want to get to is what's called the McKinney's Consolidated Laws. And you'll see over on the left-hand side, McKinney's New York Rules of Court. This is not what we're looking for. McKinney's is a legal publisher. We want to go into the New York statutes to find the consolidated laws. The rules of court are literally the rules of court. This is where we're going to find the different subject headings of the court of the statutes of law in New York State. And notice they're by subject: banking law, canal law, civil rights law, etc. And this is browsing. We can browse down through here. Also notice in the search bar, now we would only be searching the New York statutes and court rules. In our case, we're dealing with alcohol, we're dealing with a motor vehicle, and as we start to browse down, we will see that near the bottom, there's a section on on vehicle and traffic law. So we're going to start there. We're going to click and continue browsing into the vehicle and traffic law. And we get Chapter 71 of the Consolidated Laws. And now, we're still only searching within all of the vehicle and traffic law. We are now in the different titles. Now, we don't see anything that talks about driving while intoxicated, so we're going to use the search bar now. And we're going to look, we could think about our case, we could look for the word drunk, we could look for the word intoxicated, if I knew how to spell it. But in this case, I'm going to go with the acronym DWI for driving while intoxicated. in the hopes in that one of these titles they deal with this. So I'm now searching just this subset, and it's going to load. My filters on the left will actually change, and now in the center I'm looking at different statutes. So I have the statute number within the vehicle and traffic law, and I have the title of the statute. So we can start to browse the statute titles to see if anything jumps out at us. And look at that, 1192, operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. That's probably right on point with what we want, even though it doesn't discuss parking in the title, but I could continue to browse a little bit more. Now, you also have a search feature in here. You can search within just these statutes now. So if I go back up to the top and I open the operating a motor vehicle while under the influence, this is now the McKinney's Consolidated Laws of New York annotated. I can open this up, and it's going to have two main components to it. Well, actually, three. There's going to be a hierarchy. That's what we see in the gray here. There's a little hierarchy of what we are looking at. We're in the Consolidated Laws. We're looking at vehicle and traffic law, and that hierarchy continues here. We get the effective date of this law, and if it's current. So we can start to scroll down and read the actual statute. But the value of McKinney's is what comes after the statute. Now, laws can be confusing to read if you're not used to reading them. They can be very dry and intricate. Notice there are links, hyperlinks in here to other sections, and there will also be hyperlinks to cases because the law is intertwining. The statutes, the cases, they're all kind of working together. And this is where McKinney's has real value. These are practice commentaries written by editors and writers at McKinney's to help you understand what is happening within this statute. What is the history of the statute? How did it evolve over time? And because people go to court and people get arrested because human beings are messy in the way that they interact. And there are lots of different situations. Our situation is our guy driving in a parking lot while he was drunk versus a different driving while intoxicated case might have a different set of facts. So there's a lot going on in here. So once I find an area that is discussing my particular situation, because I'm not seeing anything that jumps out with parking, so I'm going to search for parking. But I am not searching in this top bar because it's going to go back and search all the vehicle and traffic law. I only want to search in this one section. So I use the little magnifying glass off to the right to look for parking, and it will search only inside of the document that I'm currently reading. And there we are. It found the word parking. I suspect right here I'm inside the statute. And now as I scroll further down, I can go inside of the commentary. Again, this idea of finding an area that is more in layperson's terms for me to understand. So I opened up that search bar again, and now I'm down further inside the commentary or the annotated part by the professional at McKinney's who's helping me understand what's happening in the statute. And as I read it, I can see that the Court of Appeals held that a parking lot is not a public place. All right. And the courts define highways as public places. Awesome. This is sounding good for my client. And that an appellate division case affirmed the dismissal of a drunk driving charge, holding that it prohibited operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated in a parking lot. All right. And the appellate court held that a parking lot's not a private road. So that's all good for my client. It sounds like if you're intoxicated in a privately owned parking lot, you're not going to be convicted. But then we look at the next paragraph. These cases prompted the legislature to enact a substatute which now makes driving while intoxicated applicable to parking lots. Not good for my client. Now I could go into the case People versus Conzo, where in 1979 the judge said if he's drunk driving in a parking lot, not an issue, not a problem, and I could try to tease out some pieces of law, but more than likely they're not going to be helpful to me, because this is 1979 and the legislature came in and basically said, nope, driving in a parking lot intoxicated, that is part of the law. You should be charged with drunk driving. Those are my own particular words. Now, what we're looking at here with these keys, those are what are called head notes. Westlaw is trying to tease out all the different elements of law that are found in this case. Like I said, human beings are messy in the way that they behave. So there's a lot of concepts in this case. I can use our little within the document search button to search for the word parking and spend some time inside this case to understand how this judge came to this ruling, and maybe try to find some ideas that could help my client. But as I said, you really have to watch your dates. This is 1979. Me trying to argue this particular idea, the judge is probably going to laugh at me and say, no, the legislature ruled against this. So you really need to be aware of that. And that's where doing legal research, it involves a lot of thinking and reading and teasing out. And as we see here right on this screen, all of these cases are hyperlinked and statutes, and you can go into them to read further. Now, it can get messy. As you are tooling around on this database, you're in a statute, you're in a case, use the history button on the top right-hand side to go back to a section or a search you had looked at. This will become very important because you will start to think down one line of thought and then realize you need to go back to another line of thought. So the history button will save you to get back to where you are. Now, if I close this browser, that history is gone. Because here at RIT, we don't have individual accounts. If you worked for a law firm, you would have an individual account where it would save your searches. So definitely be aware of what you're doing. And you can see what I'm trying to do here is get back to that section where I was looking for at the place of operation within the statute. But the way I'm going to want to do it is use parking in the search term to get back to that particular section of the statute. Now you have to think about, right? You're reading this, you're taking notes, you've got your thoughts. You have to think about harvesting this out. One of the cool things about this product is that you can copy text. So if I copy and right-click copy with reference, what I copy will be the text that's in front of me, but in the copy that it just put on the clipboard, it will also include a legal reference to that statute. And that's what that last line is. That's a legal format of citation that will help you tell your reader, this is where I got this. Now I'm going to toss this in quotation marks so that I remember, oh, this is a direct quote. This isn't anything that I read. And even though you can quote McKinney's, you probably want to go back to the statute and quote the statute directly. Or paraphrase the statute directly. So, we have found the statutes, and we have read the McKinney's consolidated laws that help us understand the statutes a little bit better and the history. But now we want to find some cases that are more directly related to our specific geography. So we want to find cases from the New York Supreme Court division that covers Rochester. So the first thing we need to do is navigate back to the home page. And you can use the icon on the top left-hand side to be able to do that. So click on the Thomson Reuters Westlaw icon and it will take you back to the home page. We're going to go back to our geographic area. We're going to select state, and then we're going to select New York State. And this time, instead of looking at the New York State statutes and court rules, we're going to go to the New York Supreme Court Appellate Division section. Now, the Appellate Division section in New York is broken up into 4 divisions. We don't get an opportunity yet to look at them geographically. What we get are the 10 most recent cases that have gone into the system. So we can see August 27th are the most recent cases that have gone into this third-party system. To search in the system, we are going to go to the top, off to the right-hand side, and you'll see an advanced search option. The advanced search option gives us fields on the left, and it also gives us some little help of different connectors we can use. Most students are familiar with and or, and notice that they're both uppercase. So I could say I want DWI and parking. There are many fields on the left. All of these fields on the left help lawyers be even more precise in their searching. So there are a lot of things going on in cases. So Westlaw gives lawyers many ways to search this. But we're students right now, so we're just going to do kind of broad searches, and we're just going to look for terms. Notice up on the top, it dumped the word advanced into the search bar. This is what's called a command line search. So if I knew that it was doing that, I could just do my searches right up in that top field. But I'm not smart enough for that right now. So I'm just going to use the fields it gives me on the left. And I'm going to do DWI, uppercase and then lowercase parking. I do not get an opportunity yet to specify that I want the 4th Division Appellate Court yet. That will become available to me when the search screen loads, or my results load, and it will be available to me over on the left-hand side. I can see that I get a jurisdiction filter to different New York Supreme Court appellate divisions, of which there are 4, and I can say I only want documents out of the 4th department. I am now looking at the 9 documents that fit my search criteria out of that department. They are sorted right now in relevance order, meaning the system thinks the first one is more relevant concerning DW and parking than the last. This relevance, though, might not be my relevance of my case. It might simply have the acronym DWI or the word parking in it, but it doesn't mean anything in the context of my case. So to figure that out, you have to go into the case. You have to look at the synopsis, take a peek at the headnotes, and then read the text of what's available on the case. And some cases are really long and some cases are really short. So this is where the judge is now writing a quick opinion. And we can see here, yep, there's the word parking. In fact, there's the phrase parking lot. But it might not have anything to do with driving across the parking lot while drunk. You have to read it to determine, is there some relevance? That's why McKinney's was so nice, right? It was already telling me cases that were relevant, even though they were across the state. They weren't limited just to Rochester. And it's not just Rochester. It's a little bit broader area than that. So this is how you can get directly to cases that are in the 4 different appellate division areas. So hopefully I have successfully shown you the goals that we hope you can achieve. To navigate to campus research from Westlaw, understand how to do searching, understand that McKinney's is a great resource for interpretation of laws, and a great starting point for you. Find the New York State statute that's applicable to the situation in the case that you're assigned, and try to find one or maybe more cases that are also applicable that are coming out of New York State's Supreme Court Appellate Division, also known as the Fourth Department. Hopefully now you have everything that you need to get started. And just a word of advice, legal research can be confusing and sometimes frustrating, especially if you're new to it. Just remember that you have people to reach out to, myself and your professor. There will be contact information for me at the end of this video. Don't hesitate to email me questions, try to find me on chat, or make an appointment and we can walk through your searching challenges through Zoom. Thank you for watching this library instruction video. I hope you found it helpful. It is possible you still have outstanding questions about how to use a resource or where to look for a particular type of piece of information, and that's why you can reach out to me by chat, email, or by making an appointment on our LibCal system. All that information is available to you on the end slide and within the information of this YouTube video. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I am here to help you, and that's my job. Okay, happy researching.